Welcome to this lesson on data and programming basics. In this section, we're going to understand how computers work with data, how code works, and how information is stored. Don't worry if you're new, everything will be explained step by step. Let's start with a simple question. How do computers understand data? Computers do not understand text, images, or videos the way humans do. Instead, they only understand two things, 0 and 1. This is called binary. Everything you see on a computer, words, pictures, videos, is converted into binary behind the scenes. For example, the number 5 becomes 101. The letter A becomes 010001. So the key idea here is simple. Everything inside a computer is just numbers in binary. Now let's understand binary a little better. Binary uses only two values. 0 means off. 1 means on. Computers use these on and off signals to represent numbers. For example, 1 is written as 1, 2 is written as 10, 5 is written as 101, 10 is written as 1010. It may look strange at first, but the main idea is this. Computers count using powers of 2 instead of powers of 10. Now let's talk about colors. Computers create colors using something called RGB. RGB stands for red, green, and blue. Each color is made by mixing these three values. Each value goes from 0 to 255. For example, red is 255, 0, 0. Green is 0, 255, 0. Blue is 0, 0, 255. White is 255, 255, 255. By mixing different numbers, computers can create millions of colors. Next, let's talk about something called data encoding. Encoding simply means converting data into a format a computer can understand. This is especially important for text, like letters, numbers, and symbols. One of the earliest ways to represent text is called ASCII. In ASCII, every character has a number. For example, the letter A is 65. The letter B is 66. And these numbers are then converted into binary. For example, A becomes 010001. But ASCII has a limitation. It mainly supports English characters only. To solve this problem, we now use Unicode. Unicode supports different languages from around the world, symbols, even emojis. For example, the smiley emoji has its own code. So the key idea is simple. Unicode allows computers to represent almost every character in the world. Now let's look at a simple programming example using Python. This line, print, hello, world. It simply displays text on the screen. Then we have a loop. A loop repeats something multiple times. So when we run the program, it prints, hello, world, once, and then prints numbers from 0 to 2. The idea here is simple. Code is just instructions you give to a computer. So why do we use Python? Because it is easy to read, easy to learn, and very powerful. It is widely used in cybersecurity, automation, data analysis. Now let's look at JavaScript. JavaScript is mostly used for websites. Here, we create a variable called name and print a message like hello Alex. Then we use a loop again to count from 0 to 2. So just like Python, JavaScript also gives instructions to the computer. JavaScript is important because it powers websites. It runs directly in your browser. It is used for front-end design, what users see, back-end development, how systems work behind the scenes. Now let's talk about databases. A database is simply a place where data is stored in an organized way. Data is usually stored in tables. For example, you can have a table with names and ages. This makes it easy to store and find information. To work with databases, we use something called SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It is used to talk to the database. Let's look at simple SQL commands. Select is used to get data from a table. Insert is used to add new data. So you can either read data or store new data. Final summary. Let's quickly go over what you've learned. Computers use binary, zeros and ones. Data is encoded using ASCII and Unicode. Python and JavaScript are programming languages. Databases store data using tables and SQL. Thank you for learning.